So much of Asian finance in the past year has really been looking at what's been happening in the rest of the world in the wake of the global crisis.
I think outside of China, the most important impact is really the European financial crisis.
I think the good news, of course, is that the Europe did not crash. I think they've survived that, but the problems are not yet over.
In 2012 showed us that actually we have come to the limit and we have to change the way we do things.
I was just staggered by the range of areas that need to be addressed, from healthcare, urbanization, environment, restructuring of antiquated industries.
Leadership change basically reversed the reform momentum. And the other is the growth slowed down quite significantly, from more than 10% to around 7%.
China has now put it down that actually they will not sacrifice the environment for growth, or that there has to be a better balance. Environment and also social inclusion and also economic growth at the same time.
For next year, I think the key is to see how the new leadership is going to implement them by putting the right people in the right place and also set a standard, including how to control and reduce the corruption.
If Asia also slows down rapidly its funding of its growth, then Asia will also slow down. The unintended consequence of the implementation of the Basel rules across the board may have unintended consequence of making a synchronized global recession.
It's interesting at a time when Asia is continuing to grow that we still need banks and other financial institutions to define what are the business models, what are the right regulatory constructs for themselves here in Asia.
ASEAN, including Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, all the sort of smaller states, particularly including Indonesia, all have chances of gathering their growth momentum.
One important element of this, we talk naturally a lot about financial institutions, about the banks, but a very important element of all this is the creation of larger, more sophisticated institutional investors in the capital markets.
Well, I think there are two main issues here. One is to what extent will global supply chains become more regional over time? I think the jury's out on that, but there seems to be a tendency for greater regionalization. And the second part is the things that are changing rapidly in the environment in which they operate. One of those things is the growth of the middle classes in Asia. Much more demand, much more economic activity in Asia, which will impact on the shape of the supply chains.
We're beginning to see companies looking at the whole supply chain and saying, at every stage, product design, raw materials, manufacturing, shipping, and then end of life and waste, how can they actually make better goods and services for people?
Again, in Asia, we would encourage the major Asian financial institutions to keep focused on where the growth opportunities are here.
I actually think that in terms of corporate sustainability, actually 2013, we'll see some real breakthroughs.
What I see is convergence in terms of economic practice and also political and social cultures, between China and the larger global community.
But the Eurozone is still a real drag on world growth. In fact, growth in the EU is negative.
2013 will be a year of major reform. Not just in China, major reforms are happening in India. Major reforms are going to happen in ASEAN and in the Middle East. It could be much more tumultuous than people realize.